Hello. This is going to be one of my official streams for showing showing the tips and tricks that I've learned over the 3 years I've played this game on how to play different operators, random things you can do, my favorite things to do, snarky things, rude things, clever things. Regardless. Let's set this up. So, the first operator I'm going to end up doing is going to be Ash. To start off, I prefer the M45 Musoc over this. Yes, it has 21 rounds, but I find when you pull out your pistol, you typically need to knock out your opponent quickly, because that means that you've either expended, usually means you've expended your entire mag, and you need a weapon that can kill quickly. I prefer the R4C over the G3, out of principle, and just because it is a better gun, foregoing the recoil control. If you're looking for a good gun for recoil control, the G3 is still better. Anywho, my recommendations are, of course, the vertical grip, flash hider, and reflex. I prefer reflex due to the non-obstructing sight. Holographic has a really bad issue with where you can't see the lower half of your screen when you aim in, but reflex you can. I do miss when you could shoot this though, and you could just get out of that spawn peak. Also, feel free to shoot bullets through there. Sometimes you'll hit somebody if they're crossing late. So, first trick I have for Ash is something that you can, it's not technically an exploit. About a season or two back, they reduced their blast radius from 3 meters to 2 meters, which allows you to shoot at the top of a door and run straight through it like this, without taking any damage. That's my recommendation for Ash. If you drone yourself in and they're not paying attention, they won't expect you to run in. They will aim at you, sure. I don't know what. But they won't expect you to run in. What else are there tricks for Ash? Apart from just being a solid operator, killing people, she's very powerful for vertical play. I find that she's a lot better for vertical play from below due to the fact that it is a projectile. And if you're going for above, breach charges or a sledge would be better. Buck and Ash are underneath, Sledge is above. You can also use it to flush people out, as people will typically run away when any type of projectile is fired at them. And that's all I can think of for now. Let me just commit die real quick. Take me to the abyss. I'll show with the next operator, but the one thing I'm realizing now is there's a certain trick that I like to do to knock out shields with virtually no risk to yourself. Alright, so the next operator is Ace. It's just a pretty standard setup. My setup is a bit peculiar to what I see other people run. I prefer Compensator 2X and the angled foregrip. The AK-12 is the highest. It has the highest DPS out of all of the primary weapons in the game, coupled with the recoil that isn't too bad. With Compensator very slightly to the right, doesn't go up as hard. Solid gun and it kills quickly. So that's my setup. Pistol is just the same. Claymores are great for hard breachers anyway, as you can help cover yourself when you're getting walls. If I would recommend a good beginner op, I would not recommend Ace due to the way his charges are. They have a pretty heavy arc, and they're just not as effective as getting the wall open as Thermite is. Thermite gets a large part of the wall. I have yet to figure out a good trick for angling these correctly. Just if you're significantly away, chuck it a bit upward. And then you all know how the wall works. It's pretty simple. It creates a vault hole. You typically can't... So the advantage with thermite is, since it gets the whole wall, you have... What you can do is you can swing through that hole. When you vault, you're exposed. Part of your body is put outward before you can see, giving them the opportunity to shoot you in the head, etc. My recommended trick with Ace is something you can also do with Gridlock. If you throw down its Ace charge wherever, it is the loudest hard breach gadget in the game. It's incredibly loud. Also, it takes 2 Ace charges to take out a reinforced hatch, so you're better off bringing a hard breach charge on a different operator for that. But if you're going for the plant, you don't want them to hear. Throw this down. They're likely not going to hear you start the plant unless you have an excellent headset. Same thing with Gridlock. Start off by throwing it down, get the plant going, and on to the next operator. I would bring an operator with frag, but showing off. Other ops. Let's see. Next operator is going to be Fuse. Fuse is one of my favorite operators. I find that the original 20 Pathfinder operators are the best when you don't know what to play. Their gadgets are typically simple and very effective, and they have been through a lot of revisions to be made better. So let me get my Fuse out. Same setup with the AK-12. Hard breach charge or breach charge really depends on how you're trying to play. Breach charge if you have a dedicated hard breacher for the hatches, or hard breach charge just to make them even better. PMM, in my opinion, is just a better choice. Similar to the principle I was talking about with Ash's Musoc. Less ammunition, but if you're switching your pistol, you usually need to put down the threat immediately. Also, as I've done with every other operator, always get here, start strafing to the left so they can't see you, because what ends up happening is if you move forward, they're going to start to see your feet right about here, and your lower body, and then you're pooped, because you can't go forward to shoot them because they're already shooting at you. You have to go back, and given the time to kill in this game, it can be too late. Also, if you're coming back to the game, Fuse is now able to hard breach through reinforced walls. So there's a few different things with Fuse charges, and it comes down to understanding how they go through. You can angle the way the Fuse charge will go depending on where you place it on the wall. Let me just clear this out so I don't have any distractions. Anyway. Oh my goodness gracious. Leave me alone. Anyway. I'm going to put it at the top as high as possible. And the height truly does matter. So typically, the majority of the projectiles go straight down the line, with 1 or 2 staying near the base of where it went. The higher you put it, farther it's going to go. Better if you're in a window where you're trying, like if you were on that window and you wanted to hit over here, you would put it around the top, but it would be tough because you have this blocking it. The hockey pucks that come out of this charge are effective. What's it called? They're tangible. They don't just go through and detonate. What I would do if I were trying to hit something right here on a window, one moment. Let's say this were any other window without that stuff blocking it, and I wanted to hit the utility that would be right about here, such as a frost mat, which you could always, of course, just go like this. but there are times when you can't. Putting it lower typically means that all the hockey pucks are going to hit near the ground. Oh, that's aggravating. Probably should not have hit myself with the fuse charger. Anywho, once I load back in, I'm going to demonstrate my method for clearing out utility and also getting kills. I hear a lot of people joke about like, oh, you got killed by fuse in 2021, and yes, you typically should be listening for a fuse charge if you will hear him placing it down, if it is above you or outside of the wall, window, etc. But fuse is really good due to the fact that he can set one down, then choose to detonate it, and immediately set one after, since there's no recharge time. What that ends up allowing you to do is that my mic's working, right? Pretty sure. Anywho. Give me just a moment to check that my stream's still going. Just got a message from someone saying it wasn't. Yep, we're good. Alright. Anyway. When you learning the map, learning every siege map that you play in ranked or in casual, depending on how you like to play, does wonders for when you're doing vertical play. If you memorize the room below you, above you, you know exactly where to hit. So, the way I'm going to show you is this spot right here. Once I open this with the hard breach charge after, you'll see what it is. Actually, I'll open it right now. This is typically where a rotate's going to be. Somebody's going to be sitting through this rotate next to the bomb almost every round. So what I'd recommend doing is throwing a fuse charge here. Anyone who is passing through this rotate is either going to run forward to which you can't hit them, or they're going to run backwards towards, typically towards this window, or towards this corner right here. So you pop that, you immediately move over, you throw one trying to counter where they're going to go. That'll yield you a kill. If you're not interested in getting kills, have a teammate ping where they have Jaeger traps at. Even before they changed Jaegers, a fuse charge still burnt out a Jaeger and had enough to keep going. And those fuse charges going directly below cover a pretty wide area, about a quarter of this site. I'll demonstrate by going downstairs. So you get a lot of utility. Fuse is not necessarily an operator to get kills with when you're running his charges. It's to... where to place it? Right about here. It's to clear utility. Okay, I was wrong. They don't cover a quarter of the site. They're actually pretty closely spread out. I've seen... they're unpredictable because they can go everywhere at times. And one more thing to be wary of: if you're placing it on a window and there's somebody nearby, all they have to do is shoot. And then since I'm placing it right here, I mean, you can kind of go like this, but then no, actually, I was wrong. Your head barely goes up. So crouching and then placing it here will hit it closer to the ground, but will prevent you from getting headshot. So just be careful. People have ears and they will shoot you. On to the next. Also something to note, that little telescopic cylinder that comes out can be shot. If you shoot where the fuse charge is, it'll stop it from producing all of the pucks. Who am I doing now? Doing... Alright, Yin. Yin's next. Oh goodness. Personally, I hate Yin. As I have custom skins on her. I hate Yin. Oh man, she is aggravating. She's very powerful. And the reason why I dislike her so much is because she takes control away from the player. It's if you've ever played Warzone, it's to me it's similar to the stun grenades. And I read in the video game developing book a long time ago, quote stuck with me was, never take control away from the player, because it upsets you. You know, when you can't do anything about your current situation. That's why I hate Yin Candelas, because they can be spammed, and you can throw them one after another. Yin is an incredible powerhouse for planting, 81 rounds but a low rate of fire, so she's good for holding doors, but you don't want to be in a position where you're just going to get quick peeked, because it doesn't matter. What I notice a lot of LMG users do, something that I'm prone to doing as well at times, is we'll come around a corner or hold something by spraying. And we're just trying to hit a target. The player that we're going against, all they have to do is guess where we're going to be and just aim directly for us. The headshot is just going to stop it while I'm spraying. So if you are pre-firing someone with the LMG, make sure that you were trying to hit them as you would a regular gun. Also, the fact that Yin has access to 2 smoke grenades helps her with plant. And I'm going to use this opportunity to show you guys how to screen a plant, for anyone who doesn't already know. Oh man. Alright. So, for this, we're going to assume the default rotate is made here. Default rotate's also made there. So it is a bit tough to screen this plant. So what I would recommend in... Oh my goodness, leave me alone. Oh my goodness. Anywho, what I would recommend in this situation is toss your smoke grenade about here. That was actually a bad throw. You'd want to throw it through the doorway, because now they can walk in. They just can't see exactly where you're at. So typically throw it through the doorway, and then throw one right at the base of the rotate. Beautiful thing about smoke grenades is they block sight. And I see a lot of players, beginner players, will throw the smoke down on themselves to mask where they're at. The only thing that does is tells you exactly where you're planting at. As well as blinding you. You can't see where they're pushing you from. And so they see that orb of smoke. Experienced players know exactly where the player's planting just based off the sound alone. And now they can access sight and throw a nitro cell or pre-fire you or whatever it is they choose to do. So always throw at the entrances that they're most likely to come through. As for Yin, I'm not very fluent in like advanced mechanics with her. I do know that if you go up to a wall, you can place it down. Instantly fires. And that charging it actually has an effect. When I first started playing her, I believed that it was how many charges would come out. But charging this actually determines how quickly it's going to detonate. So it gives you flexibility when you're chucking it. If you want it to travel a little bit because you don't think you can hit it, try to throw it underneath the door, etc. You know, you just instantly throw it. If you throw it instantly, it's gonna take a bit. So for example, that's how long it takes to get going, as opposed to holding it at 3. Instantly pops. So if you do like running Yin, play around with it a bit. Get good with how long it takes for her charge to go off. And that's all I have for Yin, really. I mean, her pistol's alright. Let me switch it over to the Defender ops for now. Let's see. Jaeger, Bandit, Ella, and Lucia. Actually, I should probably start up a custom game for this. That way I don't have to deal with T-bots. Nice bit about, there's two things I learned about this. If you are playing, yeah, my mic's still going, I should be recording. Oh, it's not letting me. Alright. One moment. Two things I learned about this. If you go into you can go to a custom, you do local game. Funny that I remember that now. Create a local game, and that will allow you to play by yourself. You can start it. I'm not certain how local games are meant to be played. I'd imagine it would be set up through like a LAN system. Let me take a second real quick. Oh, I put myself on the tag. Alright, well I guess I'll use this time to show another operator. But to finish what I was saying before, put yourself in a local game, we'll let you play. Timer's gonna run out. It will only end if you finish the objectives, which means if you've planted or killed yourself, that's when the round will end. And it'll go as the way it's supposed to work. I'll actually demonstrate my favorite runouts and spawn peaks real quick. So, actually this is good because I can show a few more things. The other quirk about Siege is if you were playing a custom game and your internet was to turn off, if you click retry, you can play the same map and you have access to every operator. So if you're new to playing the game and you want to try out every operator and how they do, make sure your game's updated to the latest version. Load yourself into a T-Hunt, turn off your internet, finish the T-Hunt you are on, vote for retry, and then you'll be able to access every operator. I found this out accidentally when our power went out, when our internet went out in the middle of the day. So I tried out all these operators I'd never tried before. I like them to add a system like that. Also, always take out default cams. And when you're passing through, pre-fire this spot. Somebody may be crossing. Alright, my favorite run out of all time on this map that I actually found out for myself. When the revisited version came out, I'm surprised it didn't do it in the earlier map. Oh shoot. There will be a cam. You will get on your cam and then you will go left 3 times. It is actually that cam right there. It'll show if they're coming out of those doors, as well as if they're running across here. That cam will give you a good sense of where they're pushing from if they don't shoot it immediately. Typically in low ranks, they won't shoot it immediately, and you can tell whether or not they're going down east, whether they're going to be pushing security from this door, or they're going to be coming around and pushing security from here. I do not recommend hopping out this window. It'll get you killed. Instead, get on your cam when you think they're there or you start to hear them, you run out. You're going to get spotted right about this point. So, it's just going to happen. Clear from right to left. Typically, they'll be right around here if you do early, or if they're closer. Hell, if you hear an ace, as I did to my friend Kai recently, and you hear him pull that up, start walking around. Pre-fire even if you hear him close. Don't give them the opportunity to react to you. Alright. Next peak / run out that I really enjoy is down here in Passport. You would open this door right when the action phase begins. In that 1 second difference between prep phase and action time, you get this ready. It's a very common spawn peak, but what it allows you to do is if anyone's running up here and they run past a generator, typically a free kill, and if they're not spawning from there, so that she's go that way, you now have a nice way to kill them there. Those are my spawn. That's my ways of being snarky on defense. Alright, so the first one is Jaeger. I'm really glad that somebody brought up Jaeger. My recommendation is Barbed Wire, because Barbed Wire is incredible in this game. He has a really good AR. I like to run Flash Hider just because I never bothered to learn the updated recoil pattern. This shotgun's actually really powerful. But Jaeger doesn't... his lack of having a secondary weapon to compete it... I mean, it can compete at longer ranges, but it's not a very powerful pistol. So he's separate from smoke, where if you get good with the SMG, you can use it as an AR or a long-range SMG. So AR is great. His updated Jaeger system only gets one perp. My recommended spots for this side at the very least are to put one here. Typically they'll breach this wall. If they get this side of the wall of the door, they will be able to see it. So if you are worried about that, put it roughly here, never on the floor. Never put Jaegers on the floor if you can, because somebody opens from below, it just destroys the Jaeger. Second placement right here. I prefer that due to the enemy trying to throw frag grenades at you when you're here. This is called half wall, by the way. Third placement I recommend is in this corner. If they're pushing the door or the window and they try to frag you, which oftentimes players will try to do, it will grab it, but you are left exposed from here, here, and... I mean, they're never going to throw a grenade from here, so here and here. The principle of Jaeger that I think about is put it in an area where it's not going to get shot, but where it's going to be catched a projectile they're likely to throw. So, Wamai is better for countering smoke plants, because typically you can just throw it by the doors and windows, and it's just more effective. Jaeger is more flashbangs than frag grenades. It can also catch Zofia charges and her concussion nades, Ash Breach charges. I'm pretty sure that's it. I don't think it catches zero cams. I'm going to use this time now to demonstrate, to explain how to place barbed wire. I was taught this quite a bit ago. So I'll just come down here and throw it down as it is. So you'll gauge about how far it is, and you can actually knife it, let's see, about a meter out. 2 hits to break. So what you want to do is you want to set up, barbed wire will get broken every time. It's designed to be expendable. But the reason why barbed wire is so powerful is because it's supposed to give an indication whether they're moving through it or breaking it. Now, you place barbed wire slightly up on the steps, I'm mainly referring to steps here, slightly up the steps so they can't, if this were a different staircase and this section was blocked off, they couldn't just come around like this and duck into cover. They have to expose themselves, which typically means that you can just and knock them out. Some players will be expecting this and they go like this and then aim. So just be careful with that. Swinging and pre-firing gets you hurt. Second one would go near the stairs. First one's going to let you know, hey, somebody's on the stairs. Second one's going to let you know, okay, they're getting ready to push. Typically, you're going to hear the second one get broken after they throw their drone up. As for doorways, I've always had a tough time with that, because if you put it out here, they have a place to cover to go to, but you'll at least know they're going to push through there. And then if you put here, you won't know they're coming in until it's too late. So I just recommend putting it out as this is. Make it expendable and hear where they're pushing from. Alright, now I'm going to demonstrate how to run Nomad. Oh right, I was supposed to teach Twitch. I'll teach Twitch after this one. So for a few of the players I've been teaching lately, they've been curious on how to run Nomad. Nomad is one of the strongest operators in this game, not due to her guns or due to her utility. I wouldn't compare her to Barbed Wire, as she typically, actually yes I would. Her whole job is to prevent defenders from rotating, but oftentimes defenders are going to rotate regardless of whether or not it's put down. It's never a place and forget. There are several ways to juke out or destroy a what's it called? A nomad air jab. Typically, I say you should refer to it as an air jab instead of a nomad because that'll get people confused. Let me demonstrate how to place nomads. I prefer her AK-74M. The recoil isn't too bad. I mean, it's a compensator, so flash hider is going to be different. But the recoil is incredibly consistent. And I prefer the 1.5 sight because 2.5 is ridiculous on her gun. If you're running any kind of gun, typically attacker, and you get the choice between a 2.5 and a 1.5, I recommend the 1.5. Reason being, if I'm trying to push somebody close, a 2.5 is going to mess me up. Like, I am just going to be right in their face, even though I'm not. And it's not good close range. 1.5 is a lot better for close range and long range. If I had something like the old Sledge where he had 2.5 on his main gun and an SMG-11, that would be better. Because then I have a dedicated close range, dedicated long range. So think balancing when you're going for attachments. Also, the 1.5 sight is... don't use it like you would a holo. I see a lot of players use a holo sight for headshots due to the fact that all you have to do is line it up within that ring. This one, the 1.5 is better for body shots. If their body's in the ring, typically that means you're going to hit them. But still use the dot. So for nomads, never throw it anywhere here. Never on the sides, always on the top. And never right at the top too. You want to put it significantly upward. Hell, you can put it all the way up here if you want. The air jab will trigger if your player passes through that, and it went all the way to the floor. The reason I tell you to put it up top is because a common trick for defenders is to chuck an impact, and they can still hit it no matter where you put it here. Certain areas, such as like outside doors, it's impossible to. But if you were to throw it here, if they wanted to, and I've seen it done, I've even done it myself, you can shoot it. I believe with this one though, you'd get hit before you could shoot it. Also, nomads send you through walls and deal 5 damage. Let me go demonstrate how I typically put it on stairs, because that's what one of my students was struggling with. It can really depend on the type of stairs. This isn't a very good. That was a terrible stairway to show it on. I'll throw it here. My recommendation, so let's say we're on cafe, typically there would be a flat wall going up. What I would do is I would throw it somewhere up the flat wall to where they couldn't get it. Obviously not here. But as they're pushing up, they'd get hit. Then the nomad's fulfilled, and even the presence of the nomad will often cause less skilled players to just not go there. If you're in a pinch, you just got to run through it and take the fact that you're going to get knocked down. If you hear them up there, just don't go for it. There's certain situations where you can't do anything. I don't like to advocate for saving KD. Next one's Bandit. Because typically that takes away a lot of the opportunities that you have to win a round. If you have the mentality of KD first, you're typically not going to be a very good player. And good as in good at supporting the team, good at winning. So my recommendation is, there is no hope in that 1v5, 1v4, 1v3. Actually, I know I'm completely contradicting what I said like 10 seconds ago, but fucking swing it. Unless it's an absolute you cannot win. Like there's a claymore and air jabs blocking your entire path and are watching it. But other than that, fucking rush it. Worst comes to worst, you died trying. However, what ends up happening once you get better at this game is when you go into those situations, the adrenaline's pumping, typically you're completely focused on what you need to do, hopefully your teammates aren't being in your ear, you pop off, and you get the defuse off if you're defending. Or on attack, you just hop in, you knock them out. in lower skilled lobbies, and hell, even the higher skilled lobbies, it just depends on the players you're going against. They'll all go for you. And typically when you're pushing, they're exactly where you think they are. They're here. They're there. There's one guy chilling behind here. Like, use your drone, but if you're in a situation where you can't, just pre-fire it, man. So for the Bandit tips, incredible gun. I see a lot of people run as iron sights. I prefer reflex. Personal preference. C4, of course. So Bandit has a really, really, really nice trick where you can juke them out. Essentially, have all your teammates be quiet or mute them. Listen for when they go to place a charge. You will hear every charge. The devs made it to where the sound will go through the wall and you're going to hear what's going to be at. It gets confusing at times, but you're going to hear. So you'd be holding one out, so you don't have to waste time holding it out. And then when you hear them place it down, start placing your down. When they put it on, it'll be destroyed. Oftentimes, you will get people who are trying to counter you with thermite, and they will basically be doing the same thing by partially putting it down and then switching. And with thermite's charge, it makes the noise the moment it's put on. So just be careful. This will ensure that you get the wall secure, even if they do have Cali, Thatcher, etc. Because you're picking it up and then putting it down as you hear them. If you're bandit tricking, have somebody covering your door. If there's something below, don't even bother. They're going to open it. They're going to get a free kill on you. So CC is not a bandit tricking opportunity. That is my only trick for Bandit. Now, I realize I should also talk about throwing a nitro cell, as there was a trick I was taught a while ago. You can go straight or leaning. That doesn't affect your velocity. What it does is aiming about chest height, crouching, and then uncrouching and looking at the same time. So it looks like this. That gets it as far as possible. And that's how you long arm a C4. There are all kinds of plans you can stop with that. Typically leaning around a corner and throwing it is your best option, as you can chuck a C4 and get away to detonate it. If experienced players hear you rip that C4, they're going to rush you, because they know if they can rush you and kill you, you can't detonate it, because C4s do not auto-detonate when you die. Alright, so Twitch is next. For this loadout, I prefer the smoke grenades over the Claymore, because she is typically a hard breach support or utility clear. So smoking out the plant it works with her skill set. P9 over the LFP, in this case, rounds is better than damage because this gun kicks quite a bit. And the F2 over her two other guns. If you are struggling with her recoil control, her DMR is also a solid pick because it has high zoom scopes, practically no recoil, and 21 rounds. I'll demonstrate where DMRs excel in and where DMRs perform poorly in. Now to her update, she has starter drone, so you can use it just as a regular drone if you want to jump in and get incel, which is actually really good for her because she has two drones after. Set her up as your dedicated intel drone on your team, jump in, get everything, and then if it dies, it's going to die. Twitch is tough to master, and it's mainly due to how easy it is to kill our drone. With regular drones, they're very small, and if you're not good with aiming, it's going to be tough to hit them, especially with them jumping. Twitch's drone is thick with 3Cs. You're going to be able to hit it really easily. So I'll throw these down together just so you guys can get a visual comparison. Also, the elite skin is I enjoy it. It can also be worth buying at times, depending on the map. That's something you were interested in due to it blending in at times. But if it's on, you're gonna see the red lights and you're gonna hear it. So there's really no pay to win aspect there. Any part of the drone that's hit, just like the regular drone, except for I'm pretty sure the antennae. Yeah, you can hit any part of this drone and it will automatically die. Best thing about using a drone? Speed. It's knowing exactly where to hit. It's setting yourself up. Drones don't move as fast going side to side, but they do move pretty fast. So going like this is something you can do pretty easily. Use your main drone. I don't advise using one drone to go through the same entrance to scan and then throwing the next drone. Defenders will be looking at that, and then when you come in with your Twitch drone, they're just going to give you a very unwarm welcome, usually in the form of 9mm bullets. But typically, get it around your drone hole entry point of whatever it is for one, or if you're going for two, hit the nearest one, hit the second one. That way you're moving, you're not an easy target, and it's a lot harder to hit. Her drone doesn't have a really high life expectancy. Not really any tips to do with her. It's understanding how her drone moves, its hitbox, of course the speed, and just knowing what you're going to hit, where you're going to hit. What else? She also does 5 damage to operators again. So she can only kill a downed operator with 2 drones. You will burn all 3 of your first charges, and then you will need a 4th. Remember correctly, downed operators have 20 health. And rook downed operators also have 20 health. Just wait for this to finish. Alright, after this is Ella and Melusi. Oh no, I lost. Whatever could have happened. Yeah, I'll probably have to run Melusi to C4 myself. Actually, I think they took that away. Oh wait, did they? Oh, they did. Ugh. Alright, Super 90. Used to be called the Sniper 90. Not excellent. Personally, it's just not good. I do recommend the explosives over bulletproof camera. She used to have a C4. I was going to demonstrate a trick. You can still do it, but you can't do it by yourself anymore. So let me demonstrate. So typically what you would do is... Yeah, let's take this one. You would shoot halfway through, so that way there's still something for the nitro cell to stick. You would put a nitro cell right here, and then you put the Melusi right on top. It would work really well in coastline. You wouldn't put the bottom, you would still shoot halfway, put it here, and put it to where it's only going to activate if they step in. So sometimes that can be tough. That's up to you to figure out with her radius. But when you would hear the Melusi go off, or how you have to play it now, when your teammate hears Melusi go off, they press the C4 button, instant kill. That was my favorite trick with Melusi, man. Also to know, I'm gonna move this over. She can be placed anywhere. My recommendation, put it on a non-breachable wall. You don't want to put it on this wall if it were reinforced anyway. And given the way she is now, consider how you can shoot it if it opens. It's no longer as powerful as it used to be. You used to just be able to put it and just... It'll be like, what's up? What you gonna do? Because you have to walk towards it and punch it. So now you have to be a bit smarter. So putting it around corners and walls to use as a barbed wire. She is super barbed wire. That's my recommendation for using her. Slows pushes, but if the attacker sees it, all they gotta do is wait for it to open up, which typically takes about half a second. And that's gone. What else? There's nothing else I can think of currently. I'd imagine perhaps there's some parkour things you can do. Let me see, do you walk? Does it act as a raised platform? It does not, so no. Nothing else to run. Alright. Oh, shoot, the game won. Alright. What's left? DMRs and Ella. So I'll do that next. Just one moment. Alright, let me just make sure there is nothing else to cover. Oh, I have a story about Yin while we're waiting. Used to play with my girlfriend. We're best friends now, but I used to play with her all the time. It's actually, this game is actually where I met her at. And for DMR, I'll go Blackbeard. Also, don't go. This gun sucks. It's horrendous. They dropped it by 9 points. Unnecessary and just awful. Go with his DMR. 2.5 or 3x depending. Typically doesn't mean much in terms of recoil unless you're at very long range. Before I start this, I would play with my girlfriend quite often, and her favorite operators were Yin and Lucy. And when she first started playing Yin, she was very accident prone. And what ended up happening is she would accidentally release Yins all the time and would blind her teammates, including me, because we play ranked together. And there was one particular time we were playing on the old bank, and we spawned in. We had a friend playing with us as well. She accidentally dropped a E. We spawned alley access. She accidentally dropped a Yin and blinded all of us. And coincidentally, a Rook decided to run out, so I laid on the ground. She ended up killing the Rook, and our teammate got killed because he couldn't see and got immediately destroyed by the Rook. And just, playing Yin, you gotta remember, teammates aren't blind. Yin is a friend to no one but herself. If you're playing solo queue, like you can be an asshole, or you can just play to help the team. So DMRs aren't either long range, sitting in the back and hitting targets, or they are holding an angle. So I'll demonstrate what that looks like. So you're taking right here, got a pixel, high zoom, I can see everything. Let's say I want to assist my team. Open this up. I can go on the rappel if I want to reach longer targets. Not necessarily. If I want to hit whoever's hide behind that desk. So now I go up, break this. DMRs typically are excellent at opening soft walls. And then I can see right through this hole. So that's what DMRs are for. They're for holding pixels due to the damage. I shoot you once, you're probably at least a third to half your health gone. That's what DMRs are for. I guess I should show everything else do this map. Go up this rappel, watch this. People will run out even if it's shut. People also used to open this up. When they reworked it, people stopped doing it. I'm not sure why. It gets you killed often, but if you have a Valkyrie cam set up and you time it correctly, you can run out and typically get a kill. When you're coming up, I recommend going this way. Keep an eye on that window, and then you hang upside down and watch this door. If anyone's peeking it, typically they won't be looking for you, and then goodbye. As you're pushing up, be careful. You can aim it if you want, or you can walk out of ADS. Keep an eye. I'm actually one of my favorite peaks to do. You can do this any map, anywhere. Shit, okay. Not that way. I'm just gonna shoot it out. Breaking this gives you a cheeky little angle to see if somebody's running past. Don't do it on this window, you will get shit on. I'll show you what that looks like when you're coming around. It can be especially tough if you angle it properly and only shoot through the wood, not the glass. There's an outside glass window. But if I'm peeking, see how I'm looking like head level or even crouch level? Now I can see them, but if I'm looking at head level, it's just good night. So be a cheeky bastard if you want. I try to have morals in this game, but in the end, players are going to play how they want. So do what suits you and don't give a fuck about what they think. Alright, and then as for the last one, Ella. The ice cream lady. I don't like Ella. Personally, I'm not a fan of her. My recommendation would be a flash hider, or if you can have a vertical recoil compensator. I see a lot of players run angled grip. If you are one of those players, go for it. I prefer to keep the gun a lot more steady. Reflex is my favorite. I see a lot of players running holographic. If you run this, you're a bitch. I know what I said, don't judge people by the way they play, but if you run this, you are a bitch. Both her options are great, so communicate with your team. If you're playing solo, run barbed wire for yourself. And if your team needs barbed wire, run barbed wire. It's called Ice Cream Cone Lady because of the way it looks. It is not ready to detonate until it hits red. They're adhesive, and you gotta be careful when throwing them because they'll stick in awkward places. So if I throw it here, but if I cannot aim like this, it gets stuck there. And so now instead of it being invisible, it's hanging out like that. So just always make sure to use the bottom of the crosshair when throwing. Boom. L-mines are okay for swinging. The initial explosion blinds you for about, I think, a third to half a second. Like, completely blinds you. It covers your screen. And then you're in a haze, and then it puts a haze around you, along with some sound effects, and it also mostly takes, it severely drops the volume of what you're hearing. So if you get hit by an L-mine, you need to start backing up and expect you to get swung. You are not going to hear them coming up. And if you're trying to creep around, you're probably not going to be able to see them due to that very bright darkish blue, depending on what corner of your screen, that's put over your monitor or screen. An advanced trick that I learned when playing Ella is she works a lot like how Zoffia's concussion mines work. It'll stop you from performing an action. Best used when they're planting. Typically not like that. I don't play Ella too often. Get good with her throws. It's not too much arc, so it's just of course aim with the bottom crosshair. Swing. Oh my goodness. I'll just do it here. Swing. Remember, it has a pretty wide radius, and then when it goes off, it takes them off the plant. It's like Echo. So use her like that when you're in a 1 versus 1 situation. Also, I recommend taking her Ella concussion mines with her. Run barbed wire for when you're chilling on the site. Throw your concussion mines. Let's say you're getting pushed. You're roaming in. Let's go security. Getting pushed. You thought you're gonna be sneaky, get a kill. Well, now they know you're here. So what you're gonna do is, typically I would throw one here. This isn't the best. I realize now this isn't the best room to demonstrate because they can just come through here and the window. But if you did get spotted and here you need to leave, make sure they're not behind you there. Start backing up this way, aiming at the window. Brakes to shoot. Aim at this as you pass. Move over to here. Keep an eye on this and this, and then run out to 90 and you're good. That's how I recommend exiting that room. And just don't get cornered. That's not something you can necessarily help, but if you see a drone and you know the teammate's coordinated, you need to leave. Come back later. The roamer isn't to get kills, it's to waste defenders' time. So do that as best as you can. You know, even if you don't drop any kills that round, but you kept them chasing you for a majority of the round, or you just destroyed their utility, then you've done your job as a roamer. I think that's going to be it. Let me take us to menu. I can always do another one if anyone has any requests. If you do, just comment on this, and I will make another one soon. So that's going to be all for this tips and tricks video. I do hope you enjoyed, because I certainly enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day.